Hello and welcome to BeanPod, and this is Sunday Lunch. I'm Kirsty.
I'm Liam.
I'm Natalie.
Welcome. So today we are talking about terrifying things that scare us. So, clearly, we as people like scary things. But the question really is why? Because theoretically we shouldn't.
I don't know. I think it's more of a society thing now. It's like the new thing to feel is fear. I think that's when you're feeling fear, your adrenaline runs, and you're always wanting to, the whole fight and flight mode, and putting yourself in scary situations just gives us sort of an extra edge almost. So I think for me, that's why we tend to enjoy it. I mean, I don't really enjoy scary things that much, but other people will purposely go out of their way to watch scary films or do like adrenaline things like chucking themselves out of planes. And
I like to try and tackle the scary things, like playing scary games and things like that, but it often doesn't get very far because I get a bit too freaked out.
But I think it's more a sort of a morose thing as well. We've just gotten so used to horrors and things like that over the years that we're just sort of, I don't know, it almost doesn't bother younger people these days. They sort of enjoy seeing these horror films. It's like
but I think it depends on the type of horror as well, because you get things that are, as I said before, about things like paranormal activity.
That's the one. Panoramic activity. Watch it from everywhere.
Even if it was panoramic, paranormal activity would still be rubbish.
I remember watching that in the cinema with Amanda.
Oh my god, you went to the cinema.
Yeah. Well, we were curious. Yeah, we were curious about it. The memorable thing from it was not the film. It was more the fact that there were a bunch of chavs in the cinema, and this girl was getting quite scared, and the boyfriend went, "Ah!" in this really sketchy bit, and she screamed, and me and Amanda just exploded into laughter. And it was brilliant because she was obviously terrified. Nobody else was.
That would have been the scariest thing in the entire film, I think.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's the most hilarious. If you want a comedy or something to set you off to sleep,
Right.
a vague comedy verging into something to help you sleep, that's what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just skip that then.
Yeah. Can't even believe they made a second one.
They've made like 7.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
There are a ridiculous amount of them.
Although they got to be a lot of fun to film. If you watch them, they got to be so much fun to film.
I imagine they're yes.
Oh dear, we should probably move away from this particular franchise. I suppose there's a gap now in society. Life is quite safe compared to historically how, we've got nothing hunting us anymore, sort of thing. There's a gap in human nature, I suppose, for...
You say nothing's hunting us, but...
Yeah, I mean...
Fear has changed from the
it's not basic
survival
instinct
that people used to have.
So it's
not about
changed
survival.
through the years.
Adapted, and it's... some people don't find... they need that back, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're looking at it through the years, you've got that infamous Orson Welles War of the Worlds incident where they're saying about aliens from Mars are attacking, and everyone thought it was real. Can't see any UFOs in the sky, but it's got to be real because it's on the radio. So people freaked the hell
Don't
out.
believe everything you read or hear or see.
Exactly. I suppose.
I'm not convinced that was an enjoyment thing of people enjoying it. That was.
I imagine if someone did that now, like people would be like, "What's this? This is brilliant!"
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
our
then,
first reactions now tend to be, "Is this a hoax? Is it
Yeah.
The thing is,
Photoshop?"
not enough people listen to the radio, watch TV at the same time to be able to pull that off. Really, it would have to be something different now.
Yeah.
You couldn't do the same thing again.
I mean, it would have been the same in sort of if you're looking at Edgar Allan Poe's days. He's writing these things, you're reading these stories, and they are like terrifying. I mean, Charles Dickens did some horror stuff as well, and I suppose back then that was the medium in which to tell horror stories, you ghost stories and things like that, because that's the thing you grew up with as a child. Is your ghost stories, don't go down the lake because this person got murdered there and they come out at midnight, strangely enough.
It's ghost stories and it's the boogeyman under the bed.
There was a tool of making children behave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The boogeyman will eat you if you do this, don't.
Yeah. And those stories actually, I think, don't last as long now as they used to.
Yeah. I think it's a desensitization thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have these horrors and they set new benchmarks, either sort of gore or psychologically, they set these new benchmarks, and as soon as you get these new benchmarks, you get used to them, and they have to go one step further up to be scarier. I mean, in recent weeks we've had The Conjuring 2. I think there have been X amount of people that have fainted over in America. I know they're a bit more hysterical over there.
Nothing against Americans.
Yeah, nothing against Americans, but
British.
you are hysterical.
Yeah, we're British by comparison. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. That's Canadian, technically, saying sorry all the time. Yes, I'll insult everybody.
I'm sadly
NATO.
shaking my head at him, don't worry.
What? They agree with me. I'll just insult everyone in NATO.
Yes.
Sorry,
Just
we
keep
cut that
insulting
bit
everyone.
Moving back to scary things.
Yeah, moving back to scary things.
You will be scared soon.
Exactly, with all the death threats.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think with these films, you've got The Conjuring 2 that has come out, and people are signing waivers to say that they take full responsibility, and they're fainting in the cinema because of the shocks from it. I don't know why. I watched the first Conjuring, very good film, but not anything that's going to make me completely horrified for the rest of my life. I mean, there are certain films when you look back at our parents' age, like The Exorcist, and back then that terrified people. That film got banned, and we watch it and we're like, really? This is tame? But I suppose different circumstances.
I was thinking, like we said, what we said earlier about you got the bogeyman and stuff like that. We watched the bogeyman when we were still in school once.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be because it was a scary movie, a sleepover. We're like, ooh, a scary movie. No, the bogeyman turned into a monkey called Dave during the watching of it. So every time the bogeyman turned up was meant to be terrifying. We're going, it's Dave! It's Dave! We're all getting excited because we want to see the monkey Dave.
I distinctly remember that. I'm pretty sure I went to the kitchen for a drink or something. I came back and it was suddenly there was a monkey called Dave, and I missed something major here. What is going on?
Bearing in mind this is at a time when there was instant messenger, like the MSN messenger, and they had loads of all those weird animals on there. And we were obsessed with sending them to each other, so we just adopted one of those as a monkey called Dave that was actually the bogeyman, and it was hilarious. It was the funniest horror movie ever.
Well, talking about watching horror movies at sleepovers when you're school age, there's a certain amount of bravado going on with. That's why you're watching it, to prove that you're braver than the person sitting next to you. It's like, we can't stop watching. I'll be like behind a cushion, but you can't stop watching.
Yeah.
Or I'll be sat at the back of the room and kind of watching the other people behind cushions, finding it quite amusing. It's normally the case with me.
I think that's the same in cinemas. I mean, if you watch a scary film in a cinema full of people and one person jumps, you tend to get a reaction throughout the entire cinema.
See,
whereas
actually,
if you've got about 5 or 6 people, it's not as.
But actually, I think
reactive.
that's like what you said about how it's not an instinct anymore. It's not a natural instinct like for survival anymore. But maybe that's when it shows.
It depends on the setting.
Yeah, because if you're watching it on your own, you might get a bit of that. But if you're with a few people, you've got enough backup, but you're also enough bravado, it balances out. When you've got a lot of people, like you said, if one person jumps, the whole row will jump. Because it's that the instinct is kicking in, like, oh, something's happened. Everyone reacts without thinking of it.
So even if you're in a small group of people, we watched. I can't remember the horror film now, but we went through a phase of watching horror films in my first year house at uni, and it was a big old house with big, slanting ceilings and massive sash windows with trees outside. And I distinctly remember we were all like lined up on the bed watching it and going, I'm not sitting next to the window, I'm not sitting they kind of, you must sit next to the window, we're not sitting next to the window. So it was me sitting next to this massive sash window in the night time with this tree outside that occasionally used to knock against the glass.
And you with your fear of trees.
Yeah, I was fine with on the other side of the window. The curtains were drawn, for goodness sake. They just didn't want this, It's like, what? It's like, I'm not sitting by the window. I'm not sitting by the window.
This should be added to your list of things. You should just have trees.
Oh, great. This is a whole other rant, as we say.
There you go.
Yeah. You'll hear that one eventually.
Yeah,
it's a bravado thing of...
I suppose
Looking for
it
a
is.
gunman.
It is and it isn't. I mean,
Sometimes it is.
yeah. I mean, sometimes it is.
Well, sometimes you do it out of pure stubbornness, like me in uni, on my own, in a really dark, in a purposefully darkened room, watching some horror movie between my fingers and having to take a break because I was too scared to go through the whole thing.
I didn't do that with horror movies. I did that with accidentally did that with TV episodes.
Yeah,
where
I did it
suddenly
once.
this is actually quite scary.
Yeah, I did it once, never again. Although we didn't watch many horror movies in uni anyway.
Mine was more a case of I'm watching the series. No, this episode's actually quite scary. Oh dear, I'm by myself in my room with no lights on. This was a bad idea.
Oh, we've all done that.
We had the stupid touch sensor lights in our first year though, and it took me a long time to work out how to use them. So I managed to turn the light off, and then I couldn't turn it back on again. So I was sat there, I had the door open to the corridor just in case, but I just sat there like, I can't do anything. I don't know what to do. So I had to escape to my flatmate's room for a bit where they were watching something else.
I'm confused by the concept of touch sensor lights, but this is probably a conversation for another time.
Yeah, it's touch. Yeah, and then it's sent movement as well. You can turn it properly off on.
They're very strange.
Very weird.
switches.
Yeah.
I really didn't live in a modern enough building.
Yes.
Like if it sensed movement, like
you had
you're
to
sat in
stay
the
still.
dark
You had
and
to
then
stay
suddenly
still.
it turns light, you've got a killer there.
Yeah.
Like, oh Jesus.
I think you had to stay still about 15-20 minutes before it turned off, and it's surprising how many of us achieved that.
Haven't they used that in horror movies though?
Have they?
Like somebody's like on their own in like a library or something, and it's got like the lights in each aisle and like
Slowly
movement
turning
sensitive, and
off.
it's supposed to be empty, and the lights suddenly start turning on in other aisles.
Yeah, but to be
It's
honest,
like,
it doesn't take much to trigger them.
no, but it's supposed to be an empty building.
Yeah, an empty library with lights coming on.
Or
What,
some kind of
flies?
Yeah.
Flies could
it's
go
normally
by.
some sort of campus library or something.
Yeah.
And you can tell like the music of it is it's coming. You as the audience knows that the lights are coming on because
don't even
something's
get
in
me
it.
started on the music of it. I could just listen to a horror movie and start getting scared. I don't need
That's
to watch
the job
it.
of the music.
The music is what makes me scared. If there was no music there, I think it's for a lot of people. If there's no music there, you wouldn't feel the effect.
I think going back to the whole desensitization thing, because we've seen it, it's sort of something new, but when you're hearing these sounds, it's something completely different. It's for me in like video games. I've played Alien Isolation, and the music in that, you can tell when something is going horribly wrong because everything is so quiet and you're moving so quietly that when you suddenly hear something, you're on edge because it could be.
Well, it's
the
like when I
alien
tried
chasing you.
playing Lost Within, and literally it just takes the music to change the slightest bit. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that to the music. Leave the music alone. You don't need to do that. It's like nothing's happening, but you've done that thing with that music, and I don't like it.
Or we were discussing earlier about the sort of difference in what's scary, a gun cocking or a sword being taken
Depends
out.
on the situation.
Yeah, and it depended on the situation. You were saying in an empty warehouse,
A gun would be
a gun
terrifying.
would be terrifying,
Oh,
but down a corridor, like the sword would be, oh dear. That's not a sound I wanted to hear at this point.
Yeah. It entirely depends on your proximity of the sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A sword unsheathing directly behind you
That means...
would be just I didn't want to hear that.
And you turn around and hope that it's someone dressed up for Comic-Con or something.
Like swords and real swords sound different.
I know they do.
It's not like those old beach plastic swords. That's fine. Just that whole.
Yeah, mine doesn't get that effect because it's got a leather scabbard.
Mine does.
I know.
This is where it's revealed we own
We need
swords.
to build on our
yes.
collection.
I do.
Build your collection of swords.
Our collection of 2, although Kirsty has more. She has a thing.
I have bayonets and daggers.
Yeah.
And
That's what I got.
technically my sword is a parrying
got
dagger.
you for your birthday. What's the
Yes.
thing?
I have quite a lot of weapons. It's fine.
Although you should never come near me if I'm at the stables and buy my horse's stable because I have far too many weapons in there as well. Far too many penknives and things.
Not technically weapons, they're all tools, but they can
But no, I have
still be
one that's
weapons.
just a switched knife, literally a flip
Yes, but
knife,
its
and it's
purpose is
really
to be
sharp.
used as a
The
tool.
number of times I've caught on my hand and gone,
But
fold that away.
It's there as a primary purpose is to be a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly for cutting up fruit.
Mostly for cutting up fruit. I was really hoped you ended with fruit, not people.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, my horse likes eating many things, so...
Oh, great, we're going into Hannibal territory. Fantastic.
Oh, I could go into
Oh, that
couple...
Yeah, that's
Do a bit of water horse,
oh dear.
which are also terrifying if you ever read Scorpio Races.
So we've kind of been on this topic a little bit.
Mm.
We're talking about TV, games, films. We've talked about the radio as well. Which do we find is the medium that's more terrifying? Because we've not really talked about books.
I
Yet.
don't tend to read many scary books. The ones I have, they're not that scary.
I deliberately don't tend to read them anymore.
Yeah, you said about that. I just never. It's not. I've always been quite restrictive with my reading anyway. It's only in the last few years I've started branching out. So I might try a proper horror like a Stephen King or something at some point, but I haven't yet.
It's not something, because I don't read as much as you two, it's not something that I find particularly scary. I don't think I'm that imaginative when it comes to books. I can get a world from a book, but it's not as scary as, say, what's on TV or what's on film for me.
I'm precisely the opposite, where I'm watching it, I turn it off, it's gone. If I'm reading it, it's in my head, there's not a lot I can do about it. I made that mistake once of reading the book that a film I already found terrifying had been adapted from. This was a silly mistake to have made.
You should know by now
I
that
was at
films are
uni.
never as good as the books.
Yeah, I was at uni, so I was, in a room by myself. I think I may have even made the stupid mistake of reading it in a week when there was no one else in the house either. So I had the house to myself. And it's like, oh, great.
I used to terrify myself with the stupidest things. Like in our old house, the bathroom this bathroom and the spare room were opposite each other in the corridor, and you could see that we had like one of those ball lights in the bathroom, and you could sometimes see the glow of it, even if it wasn't turned on, because it was white. You could see the reflection of it in the opposite window and at the other end of the corridor, and that used to freak the hell out of me if I saw that there. I would actually run through the corridor to get away because it would terrify me. And there's I think there was something on TV about that. It was talking about various scary things that people were seeing, like people's faces turning up on TVs that are turned off, and saying Bloody Mary in front of a mirror 3 times and things like that. And those were the sort of things that would play on my mind, and then I'd be lying in bed and I'd look at my TV and go, "There's gonna be a face there. There's gonna be a face." And then I'd challenge things by saying Bloody Mary 3 times in front of a mirror just to prove that it's wrong. Well, that was when I was a kid.
Yeah, kids do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I think it sort of, as you get older, maybe horror doesn't affect you as much, but when you're a kid, you're so much more susceptible to horror things.
But maybe that's part of why we're not so susceptible to it when we're older, because when you're a kid, like I just said, I would test some of them. I would test, or I'd expect things to happen, and they didn't, and that's when I went, so maybe it's just rubbish.
You still believe in things when you're a child.
Yeah, you still believe in things. It's that believability, and as soon as that goes away and you find the reasoning behind it, you're like, oh, okay, it's nothing.
But sort of our fear changes when we get older as well. I mean, one of the things that terrified me recently, there was an episode of Luther, and he's a silent serial killer, and you don't realise that, because normally you're introduced to the serial killer in some way.
Yeah.
Like, you see them as a form. But it starts with a woman basically going about her normal life. She goes to bed. And it's not even, like, instantaneous. There's a good minute and a half. And then you just see someone crawl out from underneath the bed. Like, completely silent. You're like, oh, hell.
Oh, expletive.
Yeah. Oh, hell. There's someone under that bed, and it terrified people so much that actually the sales of beds with gaps underneath them went down.
Wow.
So things like that, the more psychological side of things, I think are more terrifying.
I can't watch psychological ones. The
Yeah,
Shining
like-
was the last majorly psychological one I watched, and no.
Yeah, although
It was fantastic, but no.
there's an interesting thing to say about the people under the bed, because there's always stories about under the
Yes.
bed.
Yeah.
I never really got it, because I always had
Yeah,
a bed with
same.
no gap under. So I was like, but
same.
there isn't any. What's under the? There can't be anything under my bed.
Yeah.
Until I did terrify myself to an extreme as a child, when I'd convinced myself there was something down the inch-wide gap between my bed and the wall. Yeah, that didn't last that long.
Yeah, I had the same issue as you, because I think you had the same
Kind of
bed.
bed.
Yeah. So instead, I think you had the same thing where you ended up in, because then nothing could fit under your bed. You ended up imagining something in the middle of your room.
Yes.
Yes, which actually I don't know if it's more terrifying or not, but just thinking that there's something stood there,
Yes.
it's really quite terrifying.
The most unnerving part of that particular terrifying piece of imagination was when we talked about it and realised that we both imagined the same one.
thing, yeah.
And it's like, right.
And considering our rooms are in the same place
Yeah.
in our
Yeah, we live on an
houses.
estate where the houses were built by formula, and the upstairs of our house are on the
Yeah.
same layout.
Yeah.
We're in the same room,
Yeah.
each house. And it's like, right.
That's kind of scary.
That's,
So we've
Well,
okay.
it's weird enough when you do the twin thing, but that's just a whole
Yeah.
new level of
Uh-huh.
horror.
Before
Right.
We've
we
not
even,
told you that story before, have
before
we?
we even knew each other.
Yeah, this is like early stages of friendship. We decided talking about these things and kind of went,
Wait, what?
what? You've got this. You've got this. Okay. I think we did manage to half convince ourselves it was real for
Yeah,
a
I
brief
think we
period.
did, yeah. And like every day we talked to each other, okay, it was there again, it was there again.
we have convinced ourselves that this was a real thing.
It's funny what you can convince yourself, though, when you're sort of heightened.
Yeah.
Especially at night. I remember one specific incident when Amanda stayed over at uni, and she was half dreaming, and she woke me up to say there was a rat on the floor, and there was a black mound in the middle of the floor. I was convinced this thing was a rat. So I'm stood there for a good minute, I think, waiting for this rat to move before I picked it up and realised it's a sock. But in that minute, I was convinced that thing was a rat because it was dark. I couldn't really focus on it. I'd just woken up. Meanwhile, she's asleep again. So I turned and said it's a sock, and she's gone back to sleep. And I'm like, oh dear. But that's always sort of stayed with me.
Yeah.
Just the thought of something.
But you were actually scared of a rat.
Sort of. I'm scared of most
See,
things.
if
I'm
someone said,
terrified.
I think that's a rat, I go, oh, come here, little rat!
No.
I don't know. You wouldn't really want that to wild rat.
Well, I
would you?
probably wouldn't want it near me. I'd be like, rat, go, rat, go. It's not moving. That's why.
No, don't. You really don't want to be in here, rat.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
sock.
Considering I found, well, there's rats everywhere at the stables, I'm used to seeing them. I've had to scoop one up out of my horse's own poo before, because there was one looking very drowsy and weird in the middle of his poo. I was like, right, scoop that up, get rid of it. Yeah. And my horse was just stood there at the back of his stable going, there's a thing on my poo.
That is horrifying.
I'm
Is
used
your
to
horse eating rats?
No, he was just stood there going, why is there a rat on my poo?
I think the rat had decided to bathe.
Yeah. I don't know, it was looking very sick, so I got rid of it. But, yeah, I'm used to seeing rats all the time. And spiders.
Spiders are Amanda's big thing.
What about snakes?
You repeatedly threatened to burn the house down because of spiders, I believe.
Yes, mostly. Jerry, his name was. He had to. Well, he died eventually.
See,
and then
actually,
his brother came out.
That just made me think. It's another one of those bravado things because I'm not I'm not exactly scared of spiders, but I'm not very keen on them either. I'd rather not have to handle them and things like that, but I can. And you just distracted me. Yeah,
sorry.
But with the bravado, if you spotted a spider and no, I don't want to go any near it, no matter how big it is, I would probably go, that's alright, I'll sort it out. Because you were scared.
I'm the same with that.
Whereas if I was on my own, I'd be like,
I'm the same. If there's somebody who's less freaked out than I am, I will be utterly freaked out. You're dealing with it, you are dealing with it, I'm not going anywhere near it. My house at uni, being, I've mentioned previously, a house of 5 girls, I do just remember this massive spider being in the middle of the living room floor and suddenly being 4 girls standing on the sofa and me being kind of, I suppose I'm dealing with it then, all right? And I just wasn't bothered at all because they were completely freaked out. And it's like, all right, I'm getting it then.
It has happened where I've been the only bloke in a situation.
And you're the most terrified.
Yeah, there was, I distinctly don't like wasps or insects in general, but there was one in a charity shop where I volunteered, and they were like, Liam, can you get rid of the wasp? And I'm like, I am equally as afraid as you lot are, but they just weren't interested in going anywhere near it, so I had to deal with it, and I'm like, brilliant, how do I deal with a wasp?
You get a piece of paper and just hard it out like that, just to make sure it doesn't sting you.
That's a bit difficult when you're worried about it stinging you in the face.
You're in a charity shop, couldn't you have grabbed a shirt or something?
You've got plenty of things you could have herded it out with.
Wafted it.
I mean, you can push it with your hand, but you do run a risk. So that's why you just get something to push it with. And push it in the right direction. And eventually it'll hold on, and then you just go flap it outside and it'll go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a kid, I got a bumblebee stuck in my hair once. And my babysitter, because she had really nice gardens, so she sort of expected something like that to happen at some point. She told me and her grandkids, she's like, yeah, if you get anything bee in your hair or anything, just comb it out with your fingers. It's not going to do anything. So I just went, combed it out. I went, oh, it's gone. That was it. Yeah.
The weird things we're scared of.
It is.
Yeah. I feel that this could be an interesting question, but to try and finish off, what actually terrifies us most?
What terrifies us most?
Difficult.
Masks, I think. Not being able to see things under a mask.
I have a weird thing about people dressed up. I mean, if they're dressed up but you can still see their face, even if it's face paint and things like that, I'm fine. But when people dress up, like if I went to Disneyland, that would be my worst nightmare. Because so many people dressed up, I'd just be like, no, don't come near me. Don't come near, I don't know you. And actually I had to explain this to my nan, because she's like, I don't understand why you don't like them. I mean, kids love going up to them. I was like, wait, think about this. As a child, when you're growing up, you're always told, don't speak to strangers. Don't go near strangers. Just avoid strangers, basically, because they could be bad. And then suddenly, this stranger who's dressed up as an animal or something like that comes up to you and starts offering you sweets. You've told me all my life not to take sweets from strangers. You're telling me to hug this one and take the sweets? No, I'm not doing that. It's like, if you're not wise enough to judge this situation, I'm going to have to do it for you. That's basically what I was like with people dressed up as a kid, and I'm still wary of them now.
For me, it's like I said, it's a mask thing,
not
knowing what's underneath the mask.
Yeah.
So it's similar to yours, I guess. There's recently in the latest Star Wars, which I watched, the main antagonist Kylo Ren has a mask on for a majority, and then he takes the mask off, and he's suddenly not as threatening anymore. But
it's the unknown.
Yeah, it's the unknown. Like I go back to Luther because it's brilliant. But there's a killer that wears a mask, and he is only terrifying when he's wearing the mask. Once he takes the mask off, he's human
Yeah.
again.
Everyone fears
And-
the unknown.
Yeah, I think that for me is
And if you
what
create an
terrifies me
unknown,
the
yeah,
most.
so it's a bit similar to mine because you don't know who's behind all
I
that.
suppose that's a general thing for humanity.
Yeah.
Really, is what are you most afraid of? Something that is beyond your
explain,
understanding
yeah.
and beyond your control.
Yeah,
The unknown is the most scary thing.
yeah.
It's what we fear in
Which
dark.
is why so many people fear the dark. It's unknown.
Yeah.
So what
you don't
can
know
you,
what's
can you
there.
extract a fear from your head other than trees?
It's things above me. I'm equally bad with chandeliers.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah, I know a friend of mine pointed out while I was in a big stately house that I was standing underneath a massive chandelier that was about a foot above my head. And
Bearing in mind how tall you are, anyway.
yeah, it was about 7 feet off the floor. I'm about 6 foot. It wasn't that far away from my head. It was massive. And I jumped so hard and panicked so hard that my nails made indents in my palm. That kind of terror. And then I nearly throttled him. To be fair, at the time he wasn't aware of said fear. He has now since tried to play on it.
Why not?
Which has got him in trouble a little bit. Maybe.
Well, I've
Sometimes
done it
he
with you
tells me
with the
about it.
trees. Like, look at the trees. Look at them.
I
Look at
managed
them
to
all leaning
infect
in.
you with that once. It
You
was through
did.
the fog.
Yeah.
I managed to terrify you into my fear.
Mhm.
Because
Yes.
there were tree branches reaching down towards the
Yeah.
field. They
The
were
fog
coming down
didn't
to
help.
about
It
our
was
head height.
incredibly atmospheric.
It was very foggy. And I was like, there could be anything in the trees. They could grab you. They could be anything. I think we basically legged it out of that field in the end, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yes, we did. And the dogs were trailing us like, what the hell's going on?
So,
Yeah.
I think that's wrapped it up, hasn't it?
Yes.
yeah, that's about it. We've established the unknown is scary. We like scary things. We're still not quite sure why. But clearly we do. So, that's pretty much where we ended where we started. Fabulous. So, thanks for listening to us talking in a not particularly scary manner.
Please share your fears with us
In the comments
in
below.
the comments. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you can understand the enjoyment, if that's what it is, of fears that we have of
If you
scaring
have
ourselves.
Discuss it below. 'Cause
Yes.
we'd be quite interested to read about it.
Yes.
Yep, if you have a better answer than us, feel free to share.
Yes.
In the meantime, thanks for listening. Obviously, like, share, subscribe. And please come back next time.
Yes.
I've been Kirsty.
I'm Liam.
I'm Natalie.
Bye.